for these quick splits. They were seeing if they can get a reaction out of BetBoom. They punished them a couple of times, but because of some of the mechanical failings that Vitality had, I think Apex might have just called something that simplified the game enough that his team could know which area they were targeting, and then the game could slow down, and then they could really.
Men du, kan du vad heter det? Jag ska också ringa med en sån. Den är wedgen eller vad fan heter.
Alerting to right here that simplifying it allows for players like Flamesy, allows for players like Messi, allows for players like Robs and Saibu for that matter as well to get the job done. You know, whenever you go into a duel against those guys, odds are you are going to win it. The vast majority of time, so it's good to see Vitality bounce back. And I also will say, you know, that it seemed like Vitality came in with a point to prove, in the sense that yes, they didn't like the fact that they lost the Nubis, not in that fashion as well. Now they want to get the job done without sweating too much.
What do you think? Is that a fair assessment? Like, obviously we're not inside the team comms of Vitality and of Apex making those calls, but do you think it's fair sometimes for him to go, hey guys, you are just really damn good at shooting heads, maybe just take some initiative right now?
Yeah, I think it was more that when they were going into the chaos of the bomb sites, I mean, when they lost those first couple of kills, they saw some of the failings that they had in terms of getting their spacing right or their entry work. And so by working with a simple target, you know, it's not to say they rushed sites or played a scrappy game to simplify their play style, but they wanted to move in with one or two pieces to target areas, and from that they served as a springboard because they know BetBoom are going to make a reaction somewhere else.
Well, as we're talking about the T-side for Vitality, should we take a look at round 12?
Yeah, no, that's a round that I wanted to look at.
Jävlar, tåget!
The point I'm trying to make as well. Because from the get-go, they rushed long. And the concept is they move until they make contact. And once they see MagnaJez, it's scrappy. It's not the cleanest duel in the world there for Vitality. Both players get very, very low. But this is the reaction that Mezzi is now accounting for. So they get the kill long, they get these 2 kills from Connector, and they fully respect that BetBoom. I mean, last round of the half, they're going to try and make some sort of gamble rotation, and while Flamesy susses out one of those players, they exec into a open B bomb site. And it's still not the cleanest. You know, they lose out on a kill before the smoke blooms inside of Heaven, but they've got great post-plant positions that, I mean, for BetBoom, it's just too much to battle back from.
It's a fun round in the sense as well that we often speak about, and you'd know that as well, Freya. We often praise, you know, proactivity. We love when teams are proactive on the CT side. We know
men det är klart, det kan jag göra med här.
BetBoom, obviously, in the context of the scoreline, you're down.
Men alltså, den har lagt sig på ett sånt jävla konstigt ställe, alltså.
Being proactive is not always the right answer. Being proactive and trying to, you know, push Messi in this scenario, you know, MagnaJez is not really aware that Apex was pushed all the way up towards long right here as well. You can be proactive sometimes and get punished for it as well, and I think this was a great example of such. You know, Messi is accounting for the reaction. He's accounting for BetBoom being desperate to a point, and you know, as I said, you know, before, proactiveness is usually a good thing, but sometimes it gets you punished as well. So it has to come with the caveat that is not always the right answer.
Yeah, like you said, it's a bit of a sign of desperation at times, but they were proactive in the early stages of that half as well. I mean, they were down 4-0, 5. They were barely getting kills as well, but then Zorte pushes short. They boost on site. They're trying to a couple of these tricks to get some action going. They even pick off Rops, who, you know,
men jag låter han köra fram lite grann, fan det
really pin down. So they had a couple of ideas to try and get a leg up over Vitality, but the reaction from Vitality was just, okay, account for some of these aggressive plays, account for that proactivity, and just pick a target. And I think, I mean, that's great understanding from, I think, Apex, just to recognize where his team is at on the map, because it should have probably been a bit more dominant than it was.
100%. You mentioned Mezzi in the last round of that first half, and it wasn't actually me that requested these highlights. It was you, Jacob. Are you coming to
He's outnumbered 2-1 here in terms of crits.
Let's go.
We went to attack the game somehow.
Nej.
And I think Messi was one of the players in the first half as well, finding a lot of impact. And I just love to highlight whenever we can, you know, this is not a game of highly significance for Vitality. It's not a game where you felt like they were losing control of it, where we before have highlighted Messi as being one of those stable players that sometimes buys a bit of time for the likes of Saivu and Robs to come alive. But it's good to see Messi just always find, you know, impact. He's just stable. Again, you know, it doesn't matter what player you highlight or talk about right now for Vitality, but he proves and provides a lot on the server. Now, another player I kind of do want to speak about in this instance, you know, not necessarily based on this performance alone, but it's Flamesy. I feel like if there was an angle to attack with Vitality, that has
grejen kommer inte in
The
där
fact that
alltså.
he in 2026 is playing the best Counter-Strike he's ever
Och jag
played.
tror, kan
How
du
much is that,
skjuta lite grann
and
på
his
min?
individual
Jag
level,
sitter
you know,
fast.
all of a sudden stepping up? How much is that Apex, you know,
Skjuta
maybe
sån här
getting a little bit more
alien
resource on the
gun eller
server as
någonting.
well? In particular, he's the highest rated player within the Vitality camp on the CT side of Overpass. He's one of the highest rated players
Han-
in the world
den här
on the
rör
C
sig
side
fan
of
inte.
Overpass as well. This is his playground. This is the map. I remember a game during PGL Cluj-Napoca. I think that was the grand final where Vitality played Paravision, where I think Vitality played the best Counter-Strike I've ever seen on Overpass, and Flamesy was the spearhead of that as well. So it comes from
Okay,
so
låt
many
han ta den
different
här.
directions. We don't have to mention Cyber in this game.
No.
We can talk about Flamesy, we can talk about Messi, and then we can talk about Vitality winning.
I remember making an offhand comment on I do my own podcast, whatever, no shameless plug, but the idea that Flamesy was overshadowed last year, considering his team was so successful, he played such an important role because Donk exists. You know, there was, I think, a bit of a chip on his shoulder, perhaps, that, you know, he wants to be...
Jävlar, nu kommer tåget igen. Alltså, fan vad tåget kommer ofta här då.
It's kind of cussed.
It's become a reckoning on the rest of the scene because 2026 now there's 3 players that set ridiculous ratings that tournament to tournament, any one of them or all 3 can pop up.
100%. I mean, maybe a bit of a push.
Oj.
Bra, nu ändrades det.
Jävlar, alltså går det ens att dra det här? Ja, det gör det.
Ja.
Stanna han. Ja, det är du som har flaket.
Ja.
Men kör inte till drop-offen.
Nej. Ja. Nej men alltså jag ska köra den lite här bort så att inte det var för det var jävligt tråkigt där.
Nej, han pausar. Ta tillbaka den, Fredrik.
Ja,
Han lämnar nog annars. Han lämnar nog annars.
Ja, han lämnar.
Ja, det var synd. Ja, det var synd att du tog bort flaket. Annars hade vi nog kunnat få honom att leka med honom längre med det där.
Ja.